Hello, hi. So we're back for day 19 of VEDA. First, I wanted to say how proud I am of myself. I'm gonna have a Snoop Dogg moment and congratulate myself for consistently posting a video every day this month. When I embarked on this VEDA journey, which is less popular than it was the first time I did it a few years ago, the point was just for me to get back into kind of the habit of creating content. And so I'm very pleased that I have done that and actually look forward now to my daily VEDA postings. So thank you for coming along with me on this journey of just moving from being a non-content creator or casual content creator to a more intentional content creator, because it's really just about my creative, my ability to just have creative and outlet. So thank you. But today's video is a recap of the adventure of Tom Taylor in the Australian bush on his unintentionally haunted writing retreat. And it's still a work in progress title, but that's where we are, that's where we're landing. Because this is the last video about that, because it's over. So if you are finding this video and you have not seen, and you're noticing that it says, part 5, and you have not looked at parts 1 through 4, you should look at them. This will make absolutely no sense if you don't. Because it's a ride, it's a journey, it's an experience that we all took together. So get in on it, check out the first video, and then follow the rest of them through. They're in a handy dandy playlist, so you can just press 1 and then just check them all out. It's a good time. I had a good time. I think you'll have a good time too. And then while you're doing that, just go ahead and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the other cool stuff I talk about in the future, now that my content bug has been, my content gene, I don't know, my desire to create content is increasing. But nonetheless, I do want to do a quick recap about Tom Taylor's experience in the cabin. So I ended yesterday's video kind of abruptly, but that was intentional, because after the journey, the ride, because as with most horror situations, things ramped up considerably in that last night in the cabin, and things just really, they took a turn, and they took another turn, and they took another turn, and it was very unexpected, which I thought was pretty cool, for us to be able to go on that journey, the way that Tom told the story. So of course this was a fictional situation. Tom and you know what though, Tom could have very well been in the creepy cabin and then was just inspired to turn it into a story that was really entertaining, and what that's called, and I'll talk about it I guess in a little bit more detail maybe in future videos. It's called an ARG, which is an alternate reality game where you're like looking in real time at something happening, and then like it obviously has horror elements, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, this is creepy and scary. Is this real? Is this fake? Like, what's going on? Oh my God. But even if it is or isn't, it's just a good story. And as a writer, I enjoy a good story. And so it was very interesting. I will say this. There was something that happened in that very last video that I want to draw your attention to, and if you missed it, you should definitely go back and check out or the last video, part 4, and listen. Feel free to scroll to the end. That's fine. I won't be offended. Or watch it all over again and enjoy the ride again anew. But there was definitely something at the very end of that. I'm also going to link below to the thread that Tom shared on Twitter. So this is not like a secret. It's not, it's out there I did some research and found it. So, and if you want to go through it yourself and kind of see what you notice, what different things you pick up, like Tom, he shared, it was over 100 tweets, and there were a lot of comments that he did not put in the thread because there were just so many. Like that very last tweet, there were, as of when I'm checking it now, there were 95 comments on that very last tweet. So like people really got engaged and involved, which, as a storyteller, I think that's cool. But then as a marketer, I'm like, that is gold. It's golden. But nonetheless, it was pretty cool. So I definitely want to encourage you to go back and do a little give it a listen, but also check out the thread and see, you know, Tom might have written some more stuff. I may do a little bit of poking around in his feed. I mean, he's a writer, he's a comic book person, so he may be somebody that I would want to follow just for my own personal sake, so I can have some interesting stuff in my feed about, you know, his life and his just general tales of what he does. And so you might want to do the same. I recommend it. Check him out. But I hope you enjoyed it. I had a really good time going through the story. So I want to ask you, if you see any other stories like this that are kind of happening in real time on social media, would you tag me in them? You can follow me. I'm on Twitter, and I'll leave all of my socials down below. My socials down below as well, mainly Twitter and Instagram. That's where this would be most make the most sense. But if you see any on Twitter, on Instagram, kind of cool, creepy looking stories or things, even if you're not 100% sure, but it looks like it might turn into something, send it my way. I'm definitely going to be looking out for them myself, but you know, you might see stuff I don't. So if you want to share them, and then we can do a walkthrough together. It'll be pretty cool. So this was a lot of fun. And there actually are quite a few of these. This is what I've learned as someone who has always been kind of a consumer of horror, you know, from a very consumer perspective, but who engages in horror from a larger market perspective. Like, I haven't done a lot of diving into indie horror, but this particular genre of kind of real life horror, where you kind of have these scripted type of situations, is very common. Like I said in the very first video, it's in the same vein of like the Blair Witch Project, Paranormal Activity, which, just for full disclosure, when I saw, first of all, I love the Paranormal Activity series. I think I might have not seen the very last one, because after a while it just kind of was like, yeah, what's happening? Because the storyline just really, like, they definitely stuck to canon, but things just kind of got really wonky. So I think the very, very last one I didn't see, but I saw the rest of them like in theaters. And so I might need to go find the very last one and just kind of make sure that, you know what, there was one in 3D. And I think I did see that one, but maybe not in theaters, but I've definitely seen them. I really like that series. And the very first one, it stuck with me so strongly that it had to be a solid 6 weeks after I saw the first Paranormal Activity, whenever I would, because I am notorious, I'll drink water right before bed, because, you know, it's smart. I like to wake up in the middle of the night and have to go to the bathroom. And so, you know, when that's like a habit of yours, for me, I would just get up and go to the bathroom and then go back to bed. I may or may not turn on a light, because I know how to get to the things I need to get to in the bathroom, the toilet, and the sink. Like, I know how to make all of that work. Everything's in the same place. And so I would often, you know, get up in the middle of the night, I might go to the bathroom or whatever, and I may or may not turn on lights. After I saw Paranormal Activity 1, I had to turn on the light every time I woke up in the middle of the night, even if I didn't necessarily have to get up and like go to the bathroom, because there's sometimes where I'll just wake up and just kind of be awake, and, you know, I might like roll over and pick up my phone, and I'm on Twitter, or mainly Twitter, because it's a quieter platform than like Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But I'm on social media. I'm looking at stuff online until I get sleepy again and fall back asleep, or stay awake until I have to go to work, and then I'm mainlining coffee. But nonetheless, that is a common. I will sometimes wake up. Once I saw that, like, it was a solid month and a half, 6 weeks. I did not stutter. I did not misspeak. 6 weeks. I would wake up, and every time I would wake up in the middle of the night, I had to turn on the light, because Paranormal Activity 1 freaked me out to that degree. And for a horror fan, that is fantastic. I was like, yo, this series is bananas. It is wonderful in all the great ways. And so, of course, when 2 came out, I was in the theaters. 3 came out, I was in the theaters. Like, I have definitely gone on the journey with the paranormal activity folks, and it was really good. So anytime a story sticks with you like that, it's like, that's wonderful. Now some people might see that and be like, I'm traumatized, but me, I was like, that's great storytelling. But that's what this Twitter thread, it was along the same vein. Like, you're looking at it, and if you were, on Twitter in March of 2019 and you followed Tom, it would not be a thought. Maybe, if you are kind of a part of his close-knit friends and families, you might think that that's what he's doing. He's telling a story. But if you just kind of dropped in on it as just an individual who might be following him, or someone might have shared it and you might have seen it, you would probably think that that's real. Like, it was done very much as if it was actually happening to him, as a real story, which I think is really cool and awesome. So I would love to do more of these. But as I said, I've said a few times, I'm definitely going to ramp up the horror. I'm thinking about doing, there's this thing that happens in October that I've seen horror people do, where they're like post 31 days of horror related content in October. So I'm debating if I want to tackle that. I might, because then I could really like lean in on some horror stuff and just like not talk about anything but horror. And that gives me an opportunity to just further dive into the horror genre myself. So yeah, I might do that. Like I said, subscribe so you can see all the cool stuff. I have some other content planned. If you've been following me, and if you have looked at, if you kind of found me by virtue of this story, check out some of my other content, other VEDA content that is not horror related. I talk about kind of the gamut of things between just kind of general musings about life. I really like talking about relationships, but more so your platonic and familial relationships versus the romantic ones, because I think that especially your friendships, the platonic relationships, don't get enough conversation in the space of relationships, and I think that they're so valuable, and so I definitely will be doing more talking about that. I'll be doing more videos about my life with endometriosis, because that is an ongoing, like, I am not mid-flare, but I'm definitely coming off of a flare right now. Like, I'm flaring. It's not bad. If it was bad, I wouldn't be able to video, but that's one of the things, and I'll probably talk about this more. When you have a chronic condition like endometriosis, you learn how to function through pain. So, and that's why we do things like the spoon theory, which I'll explain more, but it just basically outlines kind of your level of your ability to show up, how many spoons you have. It's kind of, it's called an invisible illness because I don't look sick. Like, I'm not doubled over, I'm not sallow, I'm not, like, I don't look like I'm sick, but I've been flaring. I had to take some ibuprofen right before I started talking so that I could, not hit flare in the middle of this, kind of have pain and then have to try to figure out how to push through that. I don't prefer to do that, but I was diagnosed with endometriosis in 1998. It is 2020. So I've been dealing with endometriosis for a good bit of my life. So I know how to cope with it. So I'll be talking more about that. Just a bunch of things, but I just wanted to do a quick recap, and now I ended up rambling about a whole bunch of other topics just because I like chatting with you. But in the comments, do you have questions about some of the things I've talked about? If there's some things you want to point out about some other stories that we can maybe talk about later, let's make this a conversation. I don't want to talk at you, I want to talk with you. So I'm gonna wrap this up because I have a meeting shortly, because we're in the world of Zoom meetings that happen at night, especially if you do nonprofit work. So I'm gonna get ready for my Zoom meeting, but thank you again for tuning in to this storytime journey. It was fun, and I look forward to the next time that we can chat again. Bye.